Returning home to Fort McMurray won't be an option for 88,000 people for weeks, and that's if there are homes to return to. The charred parts of the city has been described as a war zone. But today, an unprecedented effort to move thousands of people to safety, a tactic the military hasn't used since its mission in Afghanistan. The fire has now burned through more than 100,000 hectares in and around Fort Mac. It's growing, but to unpopulated areas. That allowed for another 6,000 people stuck north of the city to move south today, some by a massive convoy. And much-needed emergency funds for evacuees is coming, totaling $100 million. Briar Stewart has led our coverage through this disaster, and tonight she's back in Fort Mac with a closer look at that convoy and the flames surrounding it. Briar?
Well, Wendy, it's because of conditions like this that thousands had been stranded north of Fort McMurray. Now, many of them have now been airlifted to Edmonton and Calgary. Today, for the first time, some were able to drive out. 5 days after it first began, this fire is getting even larger. Plumes of smoke waft over the only road that goes in and out of a city that's been sealed off. But today at first light, carefully orchestrated exodus for the thousands who have been stranded under RCMP escort. A relief to finally be able to leave and to first look at the damage the fire left behind.
It was very smoky. You could see fire, what the damage it had done. It wiped out the Super 8 hotel, the Centennial Park, trailer park completely gone. There was still smoke and fire on both sides of the road. You could see some burned out cars. It wasn't a good feeling.
When the fire cut through the city, it ravaged neighborhoods and separated families. Some were reunited today.
Coming down the hill, she got separated from us, and she ended up coming south. They wouldn't let her turn around. So it's been a trying 4 days.
Particularly for the now hundreds of firefighters on the ground, trying to put out hot spots left by an inferno as it destroyed huge swaths of Fort McMurray. Last night, up to 20 buildings were burned in the community of Anzac. So far, no oil and gas sites have been damaged, but the fire continues to grow toward the northeast, fueled by drought-like conditions.
I do expect that there's a high potential that this fire could double in size by the end of day tomorrow.
The good news is that it's growing away from the communities, but that doesn't mean people will be able to head back north anytime soon.
The city of Fort McMurray is not safe to return to, and this will be true for a significant period of time. So the town site is going to be secured and protected by the RCMP.
So far, Canadians have donated $30 million to the Red Cross to help with the disaster, and today the province promised immediate help, $1,250 for every adult, plus $500 for each dependent. But tonight, for so many, they're just happy to be out of the fire zone.
We got some good clean air to breathe today. This is good. That's all you need.
Now, the convoys had to be stopped for a stretch of time today, and that was because at one point flames were towering beside Highway 63. When the convoys began again, officials made them smaller, so fewer vehicles were allowed to leave.
And we heard officials saying that the fire could double in size again, but they're not sounding very worried. Why is that?
Well, it all has to do with which direction the fire is growing in. I mean, if you look behind me, you can see that the smoke is all going this way. This is the northeast. This is away from Fort McMurray and communities like Anzac and Fort McMurray First Nation. It's going into a densely forested area and not much else around. Wendy?